Okay, so hello everybody, and thank you very much for being here today with what I consider is kind of a fun presentation, and it's just a few of the genealogy clues that I have found in comics. Now, definitely, I will warn you because this presentation has a lot of spoiler alerts and conspiracy theories. I'm going to try to prove them right or wrong, depending on the theory. And just as the MyHeritage theory of family relativities, they are just a theory. It will be up to us to prove if they're right or wrong. Now, starting with the beginning, and the beginning has to be the father, and the father of comics is considered Stan Lee. Stan Lee died just a couple of years ago, and he wrote and created all the Marvel world of comics. Now, not only he created, but also he participated, and he was always very involved into this world, and he did more than 60 cameos. He appeared in those movies or those comics as well. This was so famous in the comic world that for those of you who travel United, and if not, you are more than welcome to Google. When United Airlines sponsored the last movie of Spider-Man, they also included Stan Lee in the video as a cameo. Now, one of the particularly of the comics or the main characters that he created was Black Panther. And this is the image of a reborn of the Black Panther, happened just a few years ago, and I don't know, again, ages here, but I remember Black Panther when I was just a little kid, and the way that they found out was probably the better one to revive this story about the Black Panther was actually explaining to the kids about their family tree and the origins of the Black Panther. So I brought you a little bit of this video that explains how the family tree goes. So, as you can see, the family is important, the relationship is important, the places are also important, and very interesting. It really hits, and people and the kids really learn the genealogy of the Wakanda kingdom. I, as a genealogist, was more interested to learn about the relationship between myself and Stan Lee. And thanks to this genealogy website, Genie, I found out that I'm actually related to Stan Lee. Well, kind of a little bit complicated relationship, but also thanks to my wife, because it's her which is actually related through her mother's side, as you can see over there. So I found a family tree, and really didn't surprise me that I found a connection with Stan Lee, because Stan Lee also have Jewish origins. His real name was Stanley Martin Lieber, and he is the descendants of Jewish immigrants from Germany, and before and during the war into the United States, and we could find all his family tree built already in MyHeritage, smart matches, record matches, and everything else. Now, one of my favorite families since the beginning was the Simpson. It still is the Simpson. And this is a very particular family because, as any other family is complicated, to say the least, we have Marge sisters, which never married, but adopted a Chinese kid. And also we have Homer's father having an affair with a half brother, and all kind of things. Now, okay, Ziv, it should be you, because I think everybody else is watching and seeing the presentation. If not, let me know. Okay. Okay, so the particular interest of the Simpson family is that they are frozen in time. For whatever reason, Matt Groening decided to keep them always at the same age, and for more than 20 years they never grew up, or even Margie never spoke. Now, if you are familiar with The Simpsons, you may know that this is the nuclear family of the Simpson, but they also have a very extended family tree that goes across generations and history, and they try to explain almost every fact in the history of the United States through a relative of the Simpson, including the very famous theory or family lore that they had an Indian princess in the family. But not only the Simpsons, also their neighbors, the Flanders, they also have a very nice family tree that also it's involved in many of the United States events and history, including the immigration from Ireland, that one of the first immigrations that happened in the 1800s, late 1900s. All the people that came from Ireland, they are reflected over here. Talking about immigration, the Simpsons are, of course, descendants of Mayflower people as well, now that we are celebrating 400 years of that. If we go a little bit faster in time with more modern comics, American Dad also it's the story of a family, and this is definitely a little bit more modern family. In first case, you can see how the names, and especially the maiden or the married names of the women are always referred, or the women are always referred with their married names. They just lost their maiden name. First names are also kind of interesting, and according to the cultural background of the people. Like, for example, Francine's father are Baba and Mama. Very common ways to note grandparents in Asian culture, but also you have new nuancings of families, like a very clear divorce between Stan's parents. The other modern family in the cartoons these days is the Family Guy, Peter Griffin, who married Lois Petterschmidt. I'm pretty sure some of you with German origins will correct my spelling. And interestingly, that when you analyze this family very fast, you realize that Louis or Lois is actually Jewish. Well, and if you don't believe me, just look at the family tree. I think they wanted to be very clear that the mother, Barbara Hebruberg, was Jewish. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, Hebruberg, definitely. Now, another interesting character in this family will be yes, the one and only. For those of you in Maor who goes and prays to Batman, the figure of the hero from the 60s, yes, we see that Adam West is actually the mayor of the city and related to Lois as well. And it's interesting that the character that was actually working for the mayor in some way in his custom of Batman now becomes the mayor. And for Adam, it seems that last names are very important because somebody messed with his and he became Adam Wee. I'm still not sure why Adam Wee, but he's also concerned if that is his real last name or why people are starting to mess with him over there. Now, this is probably more how I remember Adam West in custom as Batman, besides his sidekick, Robin. And they also, I don't know how many of you know or ever remembered the actor that actually play Robin in the series, Burt Ward. Probably nobody remembers him as the psychic, but he also has his history. And also Batman, the character itself, has a whole family tree explaining not only how he became Batman and his ancestors and well where all the fortune is coming from, but also the other characters in the series and how they are related one to the other. Unfortunately, Adam West passed away in 2017 at the age of 88, and Genie again comes to the rescue because they have a profile page over there, very detailed, also letting us know that Adam West was not his real name. He actually changed it from William West Anderson. So now we know the real name of Batman. Although the name of the character that played Batman in the series was Bruce Wayne. And yes, if you search for Bruce Wayne in MyHeritage, you will be able to find a lot of family trees and even a few records for Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne lives, or by now I think in one of the trees he died, but he has parents, he has a partner, he has a child, he has the whole family tree, and the child was in relationship with other people, and we have smart matches and instant discoveries for Bruce, and here he's dead, but the partner, Selena Kyle Wayne, is alive, and everybody recorded over there. Now, let's go to a little bit of our childhood or latest cartoons, movies from Disney, which is Coco. And Coco was also very important in family history. In fact, it was so important that Ancestry, our competitor, actually not supported, but sponsored the movie Coco, and they use it also to advertise a few of their products. Now, definitely, Miguel, if you remember, if you have seen it, if not, I will definitely recommend it. He has to be the luckiest genealogist in the whole world. Why? Well, he has a great grandmother alive, and she remembers everything. Okay? Like, who would give anything in the world for having such a character in the family? More than that, he has an actual picture of his great great grandfather. Across the movie, he discovers a heirloom of his great great grandfather, the guitar. And again, not a lot of us can say that or can have all those things, but more than that, he even go back and visit his dead relative, and I'm pretty sure that he asked them a few questions and he got the answers from them. Now, there are a few family history lessons that we learn from this movie. Number one, don't jump into conclusions, no matter what the facts will let you believe. In family history, no one deserves to be forgotten. It doesn't matter what happened in the family and how bad they are mad one with each other. When someone dies, family memories are lost. And that is the importance of interviewing and recording all the family history. Music, photos, and objects can trigger family memories, and they can be used in order to interview or to ask questions. And finally, the stories of the death give purpose to our life, and we should embrace them as much as we can. So now if we jump into the future, and from the creators of The Simpsons comes Futurama. And this is what I called the impossible genealogy, because for those of you who are not familiar with Fry actually was frozen cryogenically and only woke up a few centuries after that in the future to meet his 30th great grandson. The only problem is he never married. So if he never married and he never had a kid, how come he can meet his 30th great grandson, who, by the way, actually looked like his 30th great grandfather? But they're having fun together. They're having a company, a shipping company, and a whole very complicated family that goes back and forth in history through times. Another complicated family, definitely the Star Wars family, with two siblings that were twins, separated at birth, parents that we don't know them until further the story, like 3 or 4 chapters. Suddenly the bad guy ending being the father of the good guy, and the princess marrying the hero and having a child that becomes also the bad guy that fights what seems to be the good guy's daughter. Yes, this is definitely complicated, but if you go up the family tree, you will find also very interesting relationships and a few clues of what I called the Jewish conspiration. Okay, this is the part that normally I don't show other people, and I will just put the facts on there and you will tell me how crazy I am. So, the Star Wars was written and directed by a Jew, George Lucas. And I have to also acknowledge here something that when I was a little kid and Star Wars just came out, I actually met Darth Vader in one of the presentations, a guy, of course, dressed like Darth Vader, and I immediately noted something very interesting. Now, the story is about a small group of rebels or partisans fighting a big guy in black suit that wants to destroy all of them and conquer the universe. Have you heard that story before? Probably yes. But what I realized when I had this close encounter with Darth Vader is that the chest plate that he has had Hebrew letters. Okay, here you have zoom in on those. And by the time I didn't speak Hebrew that fluent, definitely I realized that the middle one is Hebrew letters upside down. And what people actually thought it says is that his deeds will not be forgiven until he merits. Kind of the story of Darth Vader that was not redeemed after he um, real like talked to Luke and redeemed himself and became again a good guy and was sorry of all the bad things that he did. But again, this is just what I found about this chest and the Hebrew letters. Other people say that those letters has no significance whatsoever. Okay, I will let you, the more experienced Hebrew speakers, to put all this together and let me know. But that was not the only one. So have you noticed that the uniform of the high-ranking Empire officers kind of look like Nazi uniforms? And they stand pretty much the same and they salute pretty much the same during the movies. But also, Anakin Skywalker, or Darth Vader's mother, the name is Shmi, which is the Hebrew word for my name. Okay, curious. More than that, the whole story is based on patriarchal structure. And the main actors, even Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, the director J.J. Abrams or Jeffrey Jacob Adams, the screenwriter Lawrence Kasdan, and all of them had proven Jewish ancestors. Also, Israeli-born actress Natalie Portman is the secret wife of Anakin Skywalker and Luke's and Leia mothers, Queen Amidala. And Amidala, which is the Hebrew word for the one that stands in, like Amidah. Now, did I mention George Lucas is the creator and again, Jewish ancestors? More than that, I keep going. The Jedi Knights who use the Force or the spiritual power of God deeds or mitzvot to do good things in their battle with the dark side, Yetzer Hara, or the evil urge within us, all being the anglicized name of the Jew, Jedi, Yehudi, and the name of the wise man, Yoda, who passed away at the very biblical age of 900 years in 1983 in the movie Return of the Jedi. He was voiced by the Jewish actor and director Frank Oz. Now, the name of Yoda in Hebrew, Yodea, is the guy that knows everything. More than that, and since the beginning it was always the joke, that he speaks backwards. Like if you will take the Hebrew phrases and you try to translate them into English with Google Translate. That is why all the verbs and the actions are in the reverse order, practically as probably you already are used to hear the Hebrew people or the Hebrew language spoken. Now, this one is very, very special. John Williams' instantly recognizable theme music yes, it's exactly the same as the Czech Jewish born Hollywood composer Eric Wolfgang Korn theme of the movie King's Road. And if you have any questions, the music that you're actually hearing is not Star Wars, but is King's Road. Have I mentioned that this is a Star War? Can you tell us the questions of people? Okay, so Magali, right now, can you tell us the questions that people ask? We can't see them. Okay, so right now for sure, but right now nobody's asking any questions, Magali. But yeah, I will read the questions as I see them in the panel. Now, let's keep or go back to Disney, right? The beautiful wonderland of Disney, where you have all the princes and they married the prince and they live happily ever after. And you will see a lot of princes also with their family trees, like the beautiful family or the beauty family here. And even Princess Pocahontas has his family, his father. We don't know who the mother is, John Smith, all the descendants and everybody here. And probably one of the most famous one, Donald Duck. He also has a family tree, which is kind of interesting. And for those of you who are not married, here is a warning, because if you know the story of Donald Duck, he has 3 nephews. Now, with no sister or mother for Donald and the nephews, they live with him and they stuck with him. So beware if you don't have your own kids. What about having nephews coming to live with you? Now, interestingly, he's poor, but he has a rich uncle. Yeah. And that rich uncle will not give him a cent of his treasure and his wealth, no matter what. And he have never been married, but has a perpetual girlfriend. I definitely think something is wrong with that duck. By the way, according to the comics, Donald did had a sister that came and left the nephews with him for one day while the father of the nephews had to go to the hospital. So one day ended being an eternity. And talking about princes, talking about theories of conspirations, and I'm pretty sure some of you have heard this one. Frozen, Anna and Elsa and Rapunzel are actually related. The big question is, how are they related? Okay, so let's start with the parents. It says Iduna and Agnar parents of Anna and Elsa, and Ariana and Frederick are the parents of Rapunzel. So the first thing that a genealogy will notice is the names, especially when you have Agnar, Ariana, which is the name also in it of Anna, and they live in Arendelle. So all the names are kind of matching. But they both have magical powers, okay? And there are no surprising for any of the parents. Iduna and Agnar receive a wedding invitation to attend Rapunzel's wedding. Wait. Yes, I know you're going to say that that is not true, but I'm going to prove it. Now, more than that, for Elsa's coronation, actually Rapunzel was invited and attended the coronation after the wedding. Now, yes, the parents of Anna and Elsa went into a ship. You all saw that movie, but it was actually explained that the king and queen were planning to go before they were lost to a wedding, and this was acknowledged by the director of Frozen named Jennifer. Sorry, I don't have her last name here. Now, we all know that Arendelle is in Norway. Besides all what we know, it's actually a mix between the two cities of Arendal and Bergen in Norway. And if they were going to Rapunzel wedding in Corona, Germany, probably they took this path in the middle and probably they sank someplace around here. Yep, we all recognize the sank ship, although in Frozen they really don't mention anything about this. They just are lost in the storm. Now, this theory says that Anna was actually the daughter of, or the relationship is wrong, it's false, because what the true relationship says is that Elsa and Rapunzel are actually twins. How do we know that? Because they are both left-handed. And 22%, and this is a fact, a scientific fact, 22% of twins are actually left-handed. You can see how both uses mostly their left hand either to reach, to grab, to paint, to do magic. Even when Anna had to release her hair, she does it with the left hand. And where did both took all this from? Inherited from the mother. The mother was also a lefty. And study reveals, again, science, that lefties are rare because only 10% of the human population are left-handed. So, more reasons to believe that there are sisters. Now, why twins? Why they both have powers? Well, because again, they are the only princess that actually had powers, the powers of heal the loved ones or resurrecting or creating life, besides the power of Anna of creating ice figures. You will remember how she created both Olaf and Marshmallow, the giant, from the snow. All the powers are coming from a yellow flower, and this is also one of the reasons of the color of their hair, and this was used to cure the mother while in the Rapunzel's movie. Now, we also have another scientific proof, which is the color of their eyes. They both have blue eyes, although both sets of parents have one blue eye and the other green eye. And it's known that the blue eyes are actually a recessive character in the DNA. So by not having both parents with blue eyes, that will generate 100% chances of a kid being with blue eyes. They only shared 50% of having blue eyes, and they both had it. More than that, when the Frozen movie starts, it says 3 years later. Later after what? Well, after the wedding of the Rapunzel. And this is also matching incredibly the reality, because both movies were released actually 3 years one from the other. Now, if you still don't believe me, and I am very bad at math, you will remember that Rapunzel had her wedding when she was 18 years old. Anna and Elsa's parents were invited. They went there and were lost at sea. And 3 years later, 21, Anna needs to go into the coronation, and 23, 18 plus 3 is 21. Rapunzel and Anna were exactly the same age, and the only way to do that and to have that is by then being twins. Now, let's go back to the parents and the shipwreck. They said, the story said that they sank and got lost at sea, but nobody said that they died. And that is because they didn't, or at least not in that shipwreck. Do you recognize that picture? Well, that picture is no other than, yes, Tarzan's parents. Meaning that, again, Tarzan and Elsa and Anna are related. I'm already confused who's Anna and who's Elsa, but they are related because they are actually brothers. And then, unfortunately, they will never meet each other. But if we stick with Tarzan, and you know, me, Tarzan, and you, Jane, yes, Jane was the partner of Tarzan in the story. Is also very interesting, the story of Jane itself. Do you notice any resemblance? Yes, Jane is actually related to the Beauty from Beauty and the Beast. She is actually the great-granddaughter, the granddaughter or great-granddaughter. Why do I say that? Well, because there are proof. Family inheritance. Do you remember the tea set that Belle had, the Beauty had on the castle? Well, that same heirloom passes from generation to generation until reaches Jane in the jungle, and we can see the tea set right there. Now, let's go back to Anna's and Elsa's parents. And you know that the story goes they sank around the X, marks the spot around Denmark. And this is very important because if we go back to the shipwreck, now we are going to realize a little character that played and found this shipwreck, among others. Yes, this is the Little Mermaid. How do we know? Well, because the Little Mermaid is based in a Hans Christian Andersen story, and he was from Denmark. So it makes sense that actually all these are interconnected within. another princess, another happy family, another characters in the Disney world, but this time they are actually built in history facts because Ariel, the Little Mermaid, is actually Triton's daughter. And Triton had also other daughters, but that makes Ariel and Hercules related. Don't believe me? This is not cartoon stories. This is history and facts. All what you need to think a little bit is how they are related. Okay, so Ziv is already uh, concerned that I am making assumptions regarding Tarzan and Belle and the T set. No, Ziv, this is not assumption and this is not coincidences. Yes, the T set is actually the same T set, and the chip in one of the cups is actually showing that it's exactly the same. Now, Lydia is already saying that they are kissing cousins. Well, I don't know if they kiss each other, but good guess, Lydia. And yes, they are kind of cousins because Ariel is the daughter of Triton. Triton is the son of Poseidon. Poseidon is also known as Neptune, depending if you go with the Rome or with the Greek mythology. And Neptune or Poseidon is actually the brother of Zeus, and Zeus is the father of Hercules. So Ariel is kind of Hercules' cousin's daughter, to be exact. Now, all this started from the very wonderful brain of a man called Walt Disney. Interestingly, that was his real name. And I know that because I searched it on MyHeritage, right? And I found a lot of information about Walter. He studied in Jackson County, Indiana, and yes, we have his yearbook right there. This is kind of an old image. I definitely need to update this with the now in color technology applied for the yearbooks. But I also found him coming to the United States after the 1910 US Census, when we can see right here on the top Elias Disney and Flora Disney, the wife, and here you have the two sons and the daughter, Walt E. Disney as the son, 8 years old. I also found him, very interestingly, traveling to Brazil in one of the collections that we have. I like very much this collection because it shows not only the image of the person and all the information very clear and typed, but also the signature. And you can already see that it's nothing related to what, yeah, it may be a little bit, but definitely the more known signature of Walt Disney, the empire, is a little bit different of what he and how he signed in the true life. Now, of course, that I found a family tree for Walt and for the brothers and the sisters and the parents and all his ancestors, including some discoveries that we had over there, and Roy Disney, which is the nephew of Walt, which until 2000s he was in charge of the whole empire of Walt Disney, and still descendants of Roy Disney's are involved in the company and in the decisions. that are making over there. Now, it has been said that Walt Disney had parents issues, or at least mother issues. Well, with this real picture of the mother and Walt in 1938, you can understand why, but let's see if it's true or not. I am just showing you a few examples where you see that foster parents died, there is no mother, or the mother is incarcerated in Dumbo. In Bambi, probably the most tragic ones. The mother is killed. In Frozen, we already know that the parent sinks in the ocean. Lion King, the father is murdered. Pocahontas has no mother. Little Mermaid, she has a mother, but the mother has no say in the whole movie. Now, if you think that this is just a few of them, let me go in deep and show you a little bit more of those movies or cartoons. And please feel free to start thinking on all of them and the role of the mother in all of them. Nope, you will not find any mothers, probably with the exception of Coco that we already spoke, that he has a mother, but also a great grandmother. And over there, yes, it may be the exception to the rule. All the others, believe me, mothers are not strong presence or physically there at all. Lydia is saying the Grimm brothers and is saying the light movie with Grimm brothers mommy issues. Oh, okay. I don't know about that one, but I do know about Disney, and there is actually a fact about this, and the explanation it's again on my heritage. I did a little bit of family research and I found out articles with a very nice story. Well, at least at the beginning was nice and the end is kind of tragic because Walt Disney built and gave their parents a house, a brand new house to celebrate their 50th anniversary. The problem was that there was, seems to be, problem with the air conditioner in that time, and they have a fire in the middle of the night, and unfortunately Walt Disney's mother, Flora Disney, died as a result of those gas fumes inhalation. So this is something that it seems was very hard and very painful for Walt, and since there he didn't want to touch the mother figure in any of the movies or the cartoons or the stories that he developed, and for some reason they kept the same path over the years in Disney. So this only proves that when you hear a story in the family, you actually need to go into the facts and investigate. And of course, newspapers are a wonderful source of information to discover the truth and the stories behind the bare bones genealogy. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed. I hope that you found those little pieces of genealogy in the stories and the presentation. If you have any questions, I will be more than happy to read them. I already see here people asking questions, and let's open it to discussion to everybody. Nina is telling us that the 3 basic guidelines of the Disney brand are no bad language, no uncomfortable sexual situations, and no gratitude violence as a strategy to be different from the others around. Okay, I didn't knew that there were guidelines. Interesting, definitely. If they want to address little kids, bad language and violence are two things that I don't want my kids, at least little ages, to see. Uncomfortable sexual situations I can understand, but still, it's interesting. None of us and not a lot of people question the fact that the mother doesn't appear in most, if not all, of the movies. And probably the most clear one is Finding Nemo, at least for me, when the mother is not even mentioned, and we all assume that the father it's like a one parent or lonely parent figure, and he can deal with everything, and nobody asks about the mother. So forget about all those princes, that the mother it's actually the bad person in the movie, but in others it's just not there and nobody asks. As I said, a lot of these things are just theories, conspirations, proved of probably crazy people like me trying to find out how the comic industry uses our family relationship and genealogy to make people involved in the stories and try to pull people to appreciate them. Any other question, guys? Questions going once. Nope. Question going twice. Okay. Ziv, I hope you are like happy with my answers. More than happy to discuss and go in deep. Go in deep into the facts, the questions, and yes, there is a whole conspiracy theory of all the princes and all the Disney characters to be living in parallel worlds, parallel to themselves and to the reality, and how you have Easter eggs or like Ramazim. No. Help. Hints. Thank you. Leads. Yeah, I'm not using that word because that word is from Ancestry, so I'm not used to that one. But yeah, hints and leads on other movies about other movies in Disney. Okay, guys, time to go back to work if you have a shift, or go and enjoy your day if you are finishing your shift, and hope to see you all in the next genealogy meeting. Bye-bye. Have a wonderful day, and please stay safe. Bye-bye.